Top 10 Tourist Attractions in China. Ever since the world discovered China through the writings of adventurer Marco Polo more than 700 years ago, we've come to regard this large Asian country as the embodiment of all that is mysterious and exotic. Even now, after decades of economic growth, this vast country has lost none of its fascination. Indeed, the contrast between China's ancient customs and the new ultra-modern state that is developing has only increased our fascination with a culture that dates back many millennia. It's a culture that is much celebrated by the Chinese themselves, as evidenced by the preservation of such important historic sites as the Forbidden City and the Summer Palace in the capital of Beijing, each recalling the days of China's emperors. And then, of course, there's the famous Great Wall, winding for 6,700 kilometers from the Yellow Sea to Central Asia. While its countless shrines exude the spirit of age-old Eastern religions, thanks to its size, China as a tourist destination offers limitless scope for exploration. Whether you choose to travel aboard a luxury cruise ship through the picturesque Yangtze Gorges, visit a bustling city, or seek out the tranquility of an ancient temple, this country is full of incredible experiences. Discover fascinating, unusual, and adventurous things to do with our list of the top tourist attractions in China. 1. The Great Wall of China. Nobody can be a true hero unless he has been on the Great Wall, goes the popular Chinese saying. One that clearly demonstrates the importance placed upon this unique ancient monument. The magnificent Great Wall of China stretches more than 6,000 kilometers from the fortresses of Shanhaiguan in the east all the way to Jiaoyuan in the west. Passing through Hebei, Tianjin, Beijing, where the best preserved sections of the wall can be visited, Inner Mongolia, Ningxia, and Gansu. Other restored sections worth a visit include the section near Gubeikou, 130 kilometers from Beijing, and in Mushanyu, just 70 kilometers northeast of Beijing. 2. The Forbidden City and the Imperial Palace, Beijing. China's largest and most important building, the Forbidden City, also known as the Imperial Palace, is situated in the very heart of Beijing and is a must-see when visiting the country. Started during the Yuan dynasty between 1271 to 1368, much of the complex seen today was built between 1406 and 1420 as the residence of 24 Ming and Qing emperors, whose presence forbade the entry of anyone other than the imperial family and their courtesans. Covering some 720,000 square meters and protected by a 10-meter-high wall with watchtowers and a wide moat. This massive complex consists of areas set aside for ceremonial and administrative purposes, as well as a private residence used by the emperor. 3. Editors pick the Terracotta Army. It was while digging wells on the outskirts of Xi'an in the 1970s that farmers stumbled across what was to be China's most important archaeological find, the Terracotta Army. Distributed over 3 large underground pits and built to guard the first emperor's tomb were more than 8,000 life-size warriors, some 520 horses, and more than 100 chariots, along with numerous other non-military characters dating from around 280 BC. Although some were severely damaged due to the passing of time, many of the statues unearthed have been painstakingly reassembled and stand as testament to the importance bestowed upon the emperor and the afterlife. The site, part of the Emperor Qin Shi Huang's Mausoleum Site Park, is one of China's most important tourist destinations and offers the unforgettable experience of standing in front of this assembly of soldiers and horses as if inspecting a centuries-old parade. 4. The Summer Palace. An easy 15-kilometer commute from Beijing, the sumptuous Imperial Summer Palace is set amid more than 700 acres of beautiful parkland and is one of China's most visited attractions. While the palace itself was built in 1153, its large lake was added in the 14th century to enhance the imperial gardens. Highlights include the magnificent Hall of Well-Being and Longevity with its throne, and the beautiful Great Theatre, a private 3-story structure built in 1891 to satisfy the imperial family's love of opera and still used for performances of traditional Chinese plays and musical events. Other highlights include the Hall of Happiness and Longevity, with its lovely gardens and courtyards, as well as many miles of picturesque pathways and walking trails. 5. Cruising the Li River. The town of Guilin, in the northeast corner of Guangxi, boasts some of China's most beautiful countryside and is famous for the Li River, which meander through the town and surrounding karst mountains. While for hundreds of years this unique scenery has attracted poets and artists and has been the subject of countless fairy tales and legends, these days it's popular with tourists from around the world wanting to see this natural splendor up close. 6. Chengdu Research Base of Giant Panda Breeding. No visit to China would be complete without at least one panda experience. While the country's top zoos boast many fine specimens of these fascinating creatures, the best place to see them in a close approximation to their natural habitat is at the excellent research base of giant panda breeding in Chengdu, located in the province of Sichuan. In addition to viewing these splendid animals up close, you'll learn a great deal about them from the many permanent exhibits and displays detailing ongoing conservation efforts to safeguard their future. 7. The Yangtze River and the Three Gorges. Known in China as Changjiang, the mighty Yangtze River extends more than 6,000 kilometers, making it the longest and the most important river in China and the third longest in the world after the Amazon and the Nile. Flowing from Tibet in the west to Shanghai in the east through 8 provinces, the Yangtze has, for more than 2,000 years, been China's major transportation route. Its vast catchment area, with its 700 tributaries, cover about 1/5 of the total area of the country and encompass a quarter of the country's agricultural land. 8. The Classical Gardens of Suzhou. Considered one of the world's most important historic gardens, hence their designation as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Classical Gardens of Suzhou should rank highly on your China travel itinerary. Located in the historic city of Suzhou in Jiangsu Province, these magnificent gardens were established in the 11th century, at a time when the city was experiencing unprecedented growth, and were among some 270 or more gardens planted here. Of the surviving restored gardens, the most famous is the delightful Garden of Lingering, a 7-acre site laid out in 1800 on the site of a park originally created during the Ming Dynasty. 9. The Potala Palace, Tibet. Another of China's most recognizable historic structures is the magnificent Potala Palace in the town of Lhasa, Tibet. Constructed as a fortress and residence for the Dalai Lama, it was for centuries a center of political and religious power and contains many of the religion's most important treasures. The first of the 2 Potala palaces, the Red Palace, was built in the 17th century and contains the complex's most important shrines in the enthronement hall, the walls of which are covered with murals depicting scenes from the lives of the Dalai Lamas and the Tibetan kings. 10. Shanghai's Promenade, the Bund. A remarkable act of smart city planning and preservation can be seen in Shanghai's splendid riverside promenade, the Zhongshan, perhaps better known as the Bund. As you stroll this wide pedestrian zone along the Huangpujiang River, you'll almost forget you're bang smack in the middle of China's largest city. Famous for its European feel, a fact owed to the district's past as the location of the city's international settlement, the Bund is popular for its 52 preserved English and French-influenced buildings, many now restaurants, cafes, stores, and art galleries. Love to see more content like this? Hit the subscribe and bell button.